Get to the chopper. What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to get into Predator Badlands, which is not in the actual Badlands, but we'll go with it. We'll go with it. Dan Trachtenberg is directing here. He directed Prey, which was the sort of lifeboat for the Predator universe that somebody threw it and got the franchise a little jolt in the arm. I've seen some people who are like, ugh, the things that come after Prey, right? The Predator Killers was, Predator Badlands was, and it's like, you guys wouldn't even have a franchise anymore if it wasn't for Dan Trachtenberg. So while I have thoughts, and that's what we're going to get into here on this film, I don't know, just stop rolling your eyes. I thought Prey was excellent. I think Prey is probably a great example of if you have a franchise and you're like, I don't know what to do with it, and you have somebody who comes in with a very unique approach, like Dan Trachtenberg did for Prey, it's the reason to do that. But then it's sort of like by the time Dan kind of like runs his own idea into the ground into Predator Badlands, it feels like when Michael Myers got like a boyfriend by the end of the Halloween franchise, like the last 3 Halloween movies we had. It's just like, what are we doing here? You know? So this was a pretty big hit with the audiences. I know some critics like it. I'm not saying it's void of fun and entertainment. The audio description is fun. It's deluxe, narrated by Jedediah Barton, with William Michael Redmond providing um, translation because the predators speak in their own language. Well, I guess they're all predators. The Yahweh, I should say, speak in their own language. And I should warn you, there's a lot of deck in here. Just a lot of good deck in here. So if you're not used to seeing deck in a film before, deck is very prominent, very pronounced. Unfortunately, deck is small, and there's a lot of talk about whether or not size matters when it comes to deck, and whether or not deck can perform under the pressure because of his size. And so if the idea of small deck triggers you, and you can't see a film with focus on smaller deck than the larger other Yahweh, then maybe this isn't the subscribe. So we follow Deck, in case you were getting mad, who's the main Yahweh for us, the good guy here. It's weird to think of these guys as good guys. We're like humanizing him, and that's also the problem. I gotta get into that. Hard stop. Audio description. What's up, guys? Like, I normally love Deluxe and what they're doing, but what's really interesting here is that they keep using the term man a lot when referring to a Yahweh. They're like, he hits the man with, or he throws the man, or he punches the man. I'm like, these are not men. I mean, I guess, like, technically there's a dude there, like a stunt man, but these are Yahweh. This is like a completely different species, but we keep using man, like, because we don't know what else to use. Because we don't know what the, like, gender defining man/woman, but it's definitely not man. Woman, man comes from human. I know we were really creative on that last one. We were like, what do we call a human with a penis? Man. What do we call one without it? Woman. Just put woo in front of it. So yeah, that happened a lot in the description. I was kind of like, guys, these are not men. Guys, stop, please. I love Jedediah and William, but the description here, the writer, it just keeps making them say, you know, every time there's like a fight sequence that they're fighting like another man. And I'm like, but they're not fighting another man. Please stop. I know it's hard for you to think of like like a way of doing this, but like, how would you do it with any other alien species? Like, now it makes me really want to go like listen to an Avatar movie and be like, do we do it with the Navi? Like when one Navi hits another Navi, do we go, you know, Jake hits the man with, and you're like, no, it's not a man, it's a Navi. These are completely different alien races. What are we doing here? So anyway, that's my bitch about the audio description track. So yeah, the audio description track was like mostly good because there's a whole bunch of science fiction stuff for it to describe here. And all that stuff is great. But man, every time they went to the man or a man or hit man or I was just like, guys, guys, stop. So Deck is the runt of the litter in this, and his brother is trying to teach him and make him better and make him a better fighter and everything. And we see that sort of in the opening. And the brother returns home with Deck, and his father's upset because the brother was supposed to kill Deck because Deck is the runt, and the brother believes that Deck deserves a chance because Deck has declared this mission. It's all kind of stupid because Deck's mission would, you know, call it, he'll either go away or he won't come back anyway. So, but Deck's father is bound and determined to kill Deck, so he does that, and Deck's brother steps in, frees Deck, sends him to this planet. But in the process, Deck's brother dies, is killed by his father, the Yahweh, our great species, obviously. So, and we do explore a lot of Yahweh things about how, you know, there's hunters that they don't rely on other things, that they are only allowed to use things that are tools. So when Deck gets to another planet to fight the, I don't know, the thing he has to fight, I forgot what it was called, the Katamari, or I don't know. He ends up, every time he encounters something, he has to think of it, he has to rationalize it in his head as being a tool. A couple of things that end up sort of joining him along the way, which doesn't really work at the end of the film when he refers to them as his clan. But anyway, I don't think this movie cares about making too much sense. It's here for the spectacle, it's here for the fun, and there's a lot of that here. The action sequences, the inventiveness with the other alien races on this planet. I thought this was really interesting. I wish the film had stuck to this. I wish the film had just gone this way and had Deck on a planet full of aliens that he couldn't communicate with. I know somebody at Disney would have been like, wait a minute, so you want to make a Predator movie, like $100 million Predator movie where nobody speaks? And it's like, yeah, because I'm pretty certain most of Prey was subtitled anyway because they were speaking like Navajo. So, and people really responded to that. If the movie's good, there's a fallacy here that this film needs Elle Fanning in order to survive. It doesn't. She's not that big of an actress. I know I'm saying that the same year she got an Oscar nomination, but I mean, like in the sort of hierarchy of actors and actresses, she's a decent actress to have in a role. I'm not going to say that. Don't besmirch her completely. It's not like some, you know, that one girl from that one TV show, but she does have name recognition behind her, but she's not like at the top of the game. This isn't like they were sitting there going like, okay, who could we pair the Predator with? How about Tom Cruise? Oh my God, wouldn't that be great? You know, I mean, she's a little bit downstream. I don't think people show up just for Elle Fanning movies. So I'm not really sure that she brought so much to the table that they had to make this happen. So considering Prey starred Amber Midthunder, and nobody really knew who that was before Prey, they just watched it and they still loved it. I would have relied on the premise. I mean, that was part of what made Prey charming in the first place, was it relied on this premise. And I think the film would be better if Elle Fanning wasn't in it. I know it's a hot take, but I think the film, if you have Deck going to another planet, having to face all these other alien species, that's interesting, that's creative. One of the better things that Alien Earth has done is that it has opened up the idea to the Weyland Yutani Corporation going out and getting more than just what we've seen, right? There are these other aliens and these other planets and stuff, and it reminds you that there are more things out there in space that want to kill you. And so when Deck lands on this planet with this sort of unkillable being, monster beast on it, and he ends up going on his journey, he has all these different things that want to kill him, and he has to fight them. But then they insert some synthetics. You know, Elle Fanning plays a synthetic that Deck rescues, and then basically because she's not like a living organism, he considers her as a tool, so he keeps her along, and they converse back and forth because she can understand what he's saying because she's not real. So I guess she can pick up his Yahweh, and so they become this crime fighting duo. And then they pick up this little thing called Bud. It's like another little alien that joins there, which I'm sure was like merchandise opportunity. And I kind of just think that this is what happens when you overshoot. You know, when you shoot the moon on a franchise and you go for something and it's like, well, what do we do here? Well, we have to go bigger and better. We have to make it. And, well, okay, well, we're going to take them to another planet, a whole alien planet full of alien species that have them fight. Well, where are the humans at? Well, we don't have humans because it's an alien planet. That would be weird. Well, we've introduced the idea of androids and synthetics. What if one of them was on the planet? I guess. So then they have to crash land and come up with a reason for the synthetics to be there. And it's unnecessary. I think the film would have been perfectly fine and much better. Because I'm not super negative on this, but I'm negative enough that it's a rotten review. I think the film would have thrived in sort of the concept, because that's what Prey did. Prey took a concept and it said, what if a Yahweh went back before? Essentially, it's because it's a prequel to any of the Predator things we've seen before it. So we're getting to see, you know, a Yahweh, both who has sort of different levels of technology and also fighting some, a different type of a warrior that has a different type of technological capabilities. They don't just have machine guns that they can rip out. So that's what I loved about Prey, and I kind of wanted them to explore that a little bit more by showing the Yahweh over history, kind of like what they're doing with Welcome to Derry, where they just keep going back in time. It's like that would have been fun to see Prey go back and have like a Yahweh during like the Middle Ages, you know, Yahweh versus knights with swords. um, Yahweh versus, I don't know, the Romans, Yahweh versus, I mean, they went into some of that with Predator Badlands. I mean, with Predator Killer Killers. But yeah, uh, the segment that took place in Japan and then the Vikings, like that was exactly the kind of thing I was looking for, you know. This is not really that, because it was that, and then they kind of, it feels like they were too afraid to do it without like a human in it, you know. Even though apparently Yahweh are humans, thanks audio description. Um, and it's not that Elle Fanning is bad here. It's just, I feel like she drained the movie for me. Like every time she comes in here and they're having like a conversation, I'm like, why can't this just be his movie? Why do we have to try to humanize him? Why does he have to try to feel like he's the good guy here? The warm, fuzzy feeling Yahweh, like oh, I love him. He's good. He's a good guy. It's not really. He's just, the film is actually quite violent. It's just that everything that dies is not human, so it can maintain a PG-13 rating. Because there are no humans in here, so the film doesn't understand how to really handle gore of creatures and Yahweh. It's it's like, oh, that one exploded. Cool. It wasn't human, so is it gore? I don't know. Probably not. You know. So I think ultimately I was left a little deflated. It's actually my second time having seen Predator Badlands, thanks to Disney Plus, where actually they debuted it with audio description, which is funny because Ella McKay and Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere both dropped without audio description. They've managed to remember to do it for Predator Badlands. Whoever's job this is should be fired because it should be consistent, not just like random hit or miss. I didn't even know if I'd be able to watch Predator Badlands this weekend. I was just like, I don't know, maybe. So, but I did get it as part of my for your consideration package. But obviously, if you've seen Predator Badlands, you can imagine what that would be like for a blind person to watch it without any audio description. It's was pointless. But at least I got some sort of like idea, a little bit of Elle Fanning's performance, and even then I was like, man, I feel like she's in a lot of this. She's talking a lot, and I wasn't quite, you know, like excited about it. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna rush out for this. And I was really excited for Predator Badlands. I was really excited to see Dan Trachtenberg continue the franchise. But there's something about this that feels like there's studio involvement that's telling him, well, if we're going to send this theatrical, well, if we're going to put more money into it, you have to do these things, this, and this. And it's like, I think you missed the point of Prey, and I think you missed why Prey was exceptional and why it worked. First of all, it didn't cost that much money. They were able to make it on a relatively low budget for the type of film that it was, and it did pretty well for itself. And I think that's the methodology that you have to do for Predator Badlands, is that you don't overshoot it. You kind of do the same thing, and in and of itself, it becomes an event movie. So I think Predator Badlands, putting him on another planet, telling the story of the Yahweh with this father brother thing, lean in on that. Don't ever put Elle Fanning in this. You know, like I want to see that movie. I want to see cut of this film where he goes to the planet by himself and then does everything else and then goes back and shows the victory or whatever. So um there's a film here. Unfortunately, it feels like that the film was modified to fit what studio heads believed audiences wanted, and sadly, audiences showed up and they were like, "Yeah, this is exactly what we wanted." Was him walking around with Elle Fanning. We did need a human in this movie. Thank you for validating our thoughts. I don't think we did. I don't think we needed Elle Fanning in this. Not because she's not great, not because I don't love her, not because I wish there was like another season of The Great that I could watch, but because the film just doesn't require her. If you actually break it down at the end of the day, the film doesn't need her. The film is perfectly fine, concept alone, and it just didn't trust itself enough and instead inserted this thing that I actually think made the film worse. Not because she's a girl boss or not because of anything else. I just don't think we need a synthetic here of any kind. Anything. I think if people were patient enough to sit through a film where people are speaking predominantly in like Navajo for Prey, I think they were going to do it for Predator Badlands. If you make the action sequences killer enough, you know, people know Yahweh don't speak English. So you're going to have to read the translations or keep dialogue to a minimum. Like when he's on the planet, what even would he have? You know, wouldn't it turn into sort of like Sisu at that point where there's like not a whole lot of dialogue? Because who's he talking to? No one. If you give him no one to talk to, it just becomes like a nonstop sort of action science fiction film. There's some lack of trust. There's a gap here, and I think it affected Predator Badlands and the quality. So I'm going rotten on Predator Badlands. I know. It's shocking. But because I went positive on Tron Ares. Barely. But yeah, that's where we're at in life. As I saw more in Tron Ares, more of an attempt in that than Predator Badlands, where once we got to the planet and Elle Fanning started speaking, I was like, I don't know, I can't do this. So I'm gonna give it a 5.5 out of 10. So it's close. It's not like irredeemably bad. It's actually, there's a film there that I think I would have really loved. There's a film there that's maybe like an 8.0, you know? Unfortunately, it drags itself down by putting this like sense of family and found family and community and Elfanning in a dual role, and it's, we didn't need that. We didn't need it. Even if you liked it, you did not need it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.